Hey, this is Michael. Again, I guess this is video 3. I'm going to lose track of which videos they are, but this is video number 3. So I'm going through the manual, reading what some of the safety requirements are, and was just going to go through these with you. So, some of the things that it says here, warnings and cautions, keep the machine away from humidity is one of them. Humidity is kind of a funny thing. There are a few different types of humidity. What you need to keep it away from is misting humidity, where it actually kicks up a mist and the mist coats things. But an evaporative, where it's just air passing over the water and the you don't actually see a mist or water molecule, that's actually fine. And you should keep it, it shouldn't be like right under the printer. And I think even with some things I've read in the past, people like covering up the printer and the humidifier will cause water to coat the machine. So you got to be careful what kind of humidity you use. The venting, don't obstruct the vents. And there's some dumb things in here like the plastic and things like that. Use at an altitude of 2,000 meters or less. Now I think we are at 4,000 feet. I don't know how many meters that is. Utah, in Utah, we're 4,000 feet. Let me look at that online real fast. Google feet to meters. 4,000. Oh, yeah, so we're under 4,000 feet. We're at 1,200 meters. Guess they wouldn't be selling it in Utah otherwise, right? A bunch of electrical shock stuff. Make sure that cords aren't broken, cracked, blah, 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 blah. When unplugging the machine, it gets down, I don't know, gets down here and talks about that the machine does weigh 180 pounds, and I will tell you it does, and it physically took 4 people to move it in here. So it's huge and heavy. Absolutely huge and heavy. Then down here, it talks about how there are brackets in place that need to be taken off before use. Talks about not blocking the vents before installing type things. Cover being open, watching out for moving parts. Some of my junk. So over here on the printer, you have 2 fans in the back that operate to pull air out of the machine as the machine's operating. Those are the fans it's talking about not obstructing. So as I have those on the back, I did wonder, am I going to discolor the wall with those fans going? I know that they do have a material on them so that it filters the air moves out. And when I looked at the one, because I did the training at Anajet, when I looked at what they had there, those fans do get discolored because of this, the speed and the amount of particles that are sent up in the air in this process with this machine. So then it talks about removing these brackets. So in this case, there's number 1, that needs to be removed before it can be used, and this is number 2, that it needs to be removed before it can be used. Otherwise, it's going to malfunction. The belt, I imagine you could probably strip the belt here or whatever. Your encoding bar on this one is actually right back here. On the Sprint, it was different. So if I come over and I look at the Sprint, now I would, the way the Sprint operates, so it talks about being concerned about hurting your fingers, getting your fingers munched. I need to actually clean out that waste pad there and that waste pad there. But this is the moving head that goes back and forth right here, that goes and prints. The other one's much bigger, and my encoding strip is right there. Now, because the encoding strip is on the front side of that bar, and it was designed that way because it connects to the back of the print head right there, where it can read it. That encoding strip on the Sprint has actually oftentimes gotten dirty, and I've had to clean it a number of times since I've had it in order for the printer to function correctly. I don't think I've ever replaced the encoding strip. I do have a back over the years. Somehow I ended up with a backup of it, but I have never replaced it. So that is one thing. This print head also, I guess, is small enough and moves slow enough that I've never really had a problem with it, and I've never put my fingers in here to see if it would smash my fingers if I left my fingers in there, but I imagine that it could. Likewise with that one, there's a caution there that you could get your fingers smashed, maimed, amputated, whatever, with this machine moving. You can see I've got on the end, on the Sprint, those are actually you see the clear ones there, actually the cleaning solution lines that my fluid had fallen over there. I usually keep my cleaning stuff right there for this machine, but my cleaning solution, and then I just run the 4 colors, the CMYK colors, and you're seeing the cleaning solution lines there. But this doesn't have any vents on it, but you'd notice if you see that the data strip right there is actually pretty dirty, and if this head was to move to the right and you were to actually see the other side of it, the other side of it's very dirty as well, and a lot of that's because of the residual ink that gets kind of blown up around from the use of that printer. So this print head is actually behind this cage right here, which has to be removed in order for the print head to slide across, and then the print head will slide across here. Then there's your waste ink pad, and that should just be able to be pulled out and cleaned off so that it can be reused. And there's your squeegee that cleans off the print head, and it actually came with a replacement squeegee right here. And then it has a waste station. It has a waste station. Also on the other machine, this machine, it's actually under that's where the print head sits. So right under there, you actually have some pads, and then the pads kind of pull the ink through. Like it'll do a suction process and pull the ink through. And it rests on there so that your print heads are covered and stay moist. This does the same thing just right under this thing, and I've got to take that off first again before you can see it, so I'll show you in a little bit. But when I did this at Anajet, this was already off. They even had the cover off the print head so you could see the ink lines going into the print heads. And they actually had the cover, I think they had all this cover off over here as well, so you could see inside this side of the machine. And you could see where the ink lines come out of the cartridges. The cartridges sit over here. You've got a 4-color CMYK and two whites. The Sprint takes 4 whites. The only issue with this 3000 versus the 6000 machine is the number of print heads it uses versus the waste station setting. And I guess supposedly they've fixed it on this machine, but prior on the other machine they had the M5, which was the Anajet machine, and then Ricoh supposedly took this and upgraded it. Was they had once it got to a certain point, it was known to pull ink from the waste station up through the lines and ruin your cartridges. So we really are hoping that does not end up being an issue here. Because I guess those are my lines that come through there. So I guess even if you opened it up and looked, you'd see, but then you'd have to flush all the lines to clean all of them, and yeah, I could see that being just an utter nightmare. But I wasn't going to spend double the price to have, you know, just the print head, the extra print heads. So anyway, so that's that right now. That's what we're doing. And we're going through a couple of these things real fast, talking about some of the setup on the two different machines. And that'll be, I guess, set number 3. And we'll keep going. Another video here in a minute. Don't forget to subscribe to Digital T-Shirt Shop.